something that's an integral part of our lifestyle.
Of everyone's lifestyle.
That's right. And guess what it is?
Stress.
Stress.
There are all kinds of stress. Internal stressors, external stressors. How do we cope with them? And stress is one of the most overused words today. How many times a day do you hear somebody say, I'm so stressed out? I've got an exam, I'm so stressed. I've got a meeting, I'm stressed. I have a doctor's appointment, I'm stressed. People, these are mostly external stressors. The internal ones are the ones that we provide for ourselves by living in the future, where anxiety takes over, and anxiety is probably the most prevalent cause of stress there is, aside from illness, a family illness, but even that causes anxiety, and doesn't let you sometimes deal with. Stress keeps you from dealing with what's really going on, because stress is largely in your head. And if you're dealing with what's going on, you're in the process of eliminating stress. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
How do we eliminate stress? Well, there's tons of medication. Everybody goes. I doubt that any of you who watch television see more than 20 minutes at a time without some sort of medication being offered for stress. Add this to your already antidepressant, and it will help. Now the latest ones I've seen deal with bipolar medication. We deal with everything with medication, and in many cases it's called for and it's necessary. But I believe, and it's a personal belief, that so many people are taking medication that they don't need because they have stress because they believe that they have stress. And most of our stress are first world problems. The tire blew, or the plumbing isn't working, or the workman is late. Those are first world problems. Those are things that are easily handled.
How often have I heard, oh, Father, you just don't know what I'm going through. I'm so stressed out. Okay, get a grip. We all have stuff that stresses us.
What do you think are the biggest stressors?
Money, for one, and interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, people and their significant others give each other what for all the time. But there's no medication for that. That's negotiation. That's communication. There was a T-shirt I saw not long ago that says, "You're the reason I'm taking medication," which is a foolish thing to say, because nobody can. You're not taking medication because of someone else. You're taking it because you can't cope. And there are lots of ways to cope with stress besides medication. Can you think of any? I can think of a few.
Like what?
There's exercise. If
Yes.
you're feeling stressed, get out and do something. Move that body. It's a distraction. There are all kinds of meditation tapes around. There are breathing exercises. There's all sorts of ways to distract yourself from stress. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't address whatever problem is there, but you can address it more coherently if you're in a good place yourself, physically and mentally. Your imagination won't be running away with you. You'll be grounded. And grounding exercises are very important to, first of all, breathing. That's the most basic. Following the breath, or there's different ways on breathing, and you can get that on the internet. I won't go into that now, but there's different ways to breathe through stress and to breathe through anxiety. And as I said, the prevalence of medication. We in North America are an over-medicated society.
Yes, you figure that we have a pill for everything. And people think by taking, I don't know what, that they're going to live happily ever after, and it doesn't work that way.
Well, there's no magic bullet. One psychologist says that medication can be about 30% of what helps, but the other 70% is you and your behavior. You've got to put effort into it. You can't take a pill and say, I'm going to take this pill and the stress is gone. You have to work with it.
You know, for parents, their biggest stress is their kids, because they don't know what the heck they're doing when they walk out that door, and they go to school or don't go to school. And I think because they don't talk, they don't sit down at the table and talk. They don't find out what's going on in their kid's life.
A lot of that comes down to trust. And in some cases, when it comes to stress, you have to let go and let God. In some cases, you just have to give your stress, give your misery, give whatever is bothering you over to God and say, He knows better because I don't. You know, He's the one that's directing my life, and I have to just go along. I have to give myself to Him and trust Him. So I guess for me, the opposite of stress would be trust. Does that fit?
No.
Oh, well, it fits for me.
Is stress a lack of faith?
No.
I think extreme stress is a lack of faith. Absolutely. If you're stressing over something, it means that you're not believing that there's somebody guiding you, that there's somebody guiding the situation that knows better than you do. I absolutely believe that.
I think it means you do not have control. It's a lack of control over events around you.
Stress itself isn't a lack of faith, but giving yourself over to it, the anxiety that surrounds it, is definitely a comment on one's personal faith. You have to say at some point, you know, God, I don't know. You know, whatever you give me, I'll deal with.
There goes me and God. I in a way, you could say that stress is a lack of faith in God from this perspective, that you don't give your issues to God to help to resolve them. You think that you have to resolve them on your own. And so stress is something that's self-inflicted.
Yeah, there are definitely there's some external stressors too. Like if you're in traffic and somebody pulls out in front of you, that's a stressor. That's not something that you've produced. That's stress. Now how you handle it is another thing. Usually, when I'm talking on the telephone to someone who's in the car driving, I usually hear them yelling at the car that can't hear them anyway. But there are a lot of external stressors that we can't control. And that certainly does not indicate a lack of faith. That just indicates that we have to learn some coping mechanisms, and it's not in a pill.
I think that one way of people dealing with stress is to have a simple prayer and give to God what is creating that angst in your system.
The serenity prayer.
That's right.
The serenity prayer.
But again, you know, look, how many people really pray anymore?
I wish I had statistics on that, but I think the pendulum has swung that more people are praying than used to. They talk a lot about, even in politics, about faith-based situations. So I don't think we're a godless universe. But
No, we're not a godless universe, but I would say that most of our stress is self-imposed.
Most of it is, yes. Most of it is, and it takes the form of anxiety, which brings me back to the fact that we have to give it to God.
There's so many situations that you have to give to God and let Him help you out, so you can see the truth of the situation.
And that's my opinion for today.
And that's okay for me too.
Okay, good.
All right, ma'am?
Yep.
Well, I'm glad that Lynn was with me today, my better half. And because she was going to be with me, I was all stressed out. What was she going to say?
You mean I make you nervous?
No, I'm just joking.
I stress you?
No, you de-stress me.
Okay, if you say so.
The only thing that stresses me is what the heck is going on in our political life in North America.
Okay, we're not getting
It's
there.
unbelievable.
We're not going there. We're not
No, I'm
going
just saying it's...
anywhere near politics.
Don't watch the news anymore. God bless you. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe at the bottom of your YouTube presentation. And it's always nice to be with you. God bless you.